Hi, in this video we'll talk about event CRUD operations. Right now I've got a big calendar with two events, but they're static, and what I would like to do is perform CRUD operations on them so that when I do anything to them, like read them or update them or delete them or create them, I do it from a server so that the state persists. So just like a normal application would work. So right now let me close everything. I've got a server file here. It's a normal express server, and I have 4 endpoints here for CRUD operations. So one is get endpoint for reading all the appointments. I'm not using a DB, I'm just using an array of appointments, and then I'm basically mutating that in every endpoint. So for the get, I just send it. When I make a post request, I basically get the appointment object from the body, and then I push that appointment object in the appointments array. In the put method, that is when I'm updating the appointments, I am basically using the ID, updating that appointment with the appointment object I'm getting from the request, and then delete, I'm getting this ID from the params, and I'm filtering out the appointment. So basically that would delete it. So let's test it quickly. So this is the get endpoint. Right now I'm initializing it with one item so that I can display it on the calendar, and we can see that it's working fine. You can see that there is one object. I can go to post and then go to the body, and here I have a appointment object here. I send it, so now it has been appended in the appointments array. That is, I've created an appointment. So now I again make the get request, and you can see that now I have 2 appointment objects. Now if I want to update that, I go to the put method, and I let's see add the ID here. So ID of 2, and let's say instead of 25 I say 29. The start date is 29, so I send it. Now I again go to get and make a request, and now you can see that instead of 25, now the start date is 29. Now maybe I want to delete an appointment, so I go to delete. I add the let's say I want to delete the first appointment, that is the appointment corresponding to the ID 1. Now I make this request. I go to get, again make a get request. So let me change the URL, again make a get request, and now I only get this one because I deleted the appointment with the ID 1 in the previous request. So we have got a simple API here and works fine. So let's integrate it in our app. Right now I have some stuff here. By the way, you can run the server in package.json. I've added a script for it, which you can just run yarn server if you clone this repo on your local machine for testing. So yeah, let me remove everything from here. We will add them later on. And right now I've got a form. So basically what we will do is we will use the form to basically edit or create the appointment, obviously. So this form has some inputs. There is a delete button for deleting the appointment, which we'll see in a bit. There is a location field, resource field, address, status, start time, end time for editing the start time and end time. And also I'm using some other libraries which you can avoid using if you want, but I use them daily in my office life and in my personal projects, so that's why I'm using it. Also it's pretty cool, easy to use, make make the whole process much smoother. So I'm using Formac for state management, and I'm using Chakra UI for UI components. You can use any UI library like Material UI, Bootstrap, your choice. And for querying, that is making requests to the server, I am using 10-stack query or React query if you want to say it. And it is a pretty popular library, and it is on the verge of rise right now. So I would advise, if you use Axios normally, use those libraries. They are pretty good. So yeah, let's get into it. So right now I have this particular component. I have a calendar here, which you can see, and I have a form here and an appointment state, which right now is undefined. So the appointment form is not basically showing. So what I would first want to hook up is basically I want to, if I go to the calendar, you can see that right now I'm basically getting the events from a constants file, which I don't want. I want to get the appointments from the server. So yeah, let me first restart the server so that I can get the original object. Cool. And now let's make the request here, and I will hook up the request data with this events object, with this events prop, so that whatever is coming from the server is displayed in this calendar. So let's see, let's make a mutation, let's make a query. So I will say use appointments, export const use appointments is equal to a function. This is a hook, so I will return use query. I will add a key here, get appointments, and here I would add a function which would be async, and I will say const data is equal to await axios dot get. Let me import axios, and here the URL for the server, appointments, and here I would return the data. So that is the query. So I'm exporting it. I will use it in the calendar. I will say const data is equal to use appointments. Let me import it, but the data I would get from here is not what I would use as a prop in the calendar. I will have to modify it a bit. If I go here and let's say I refresh, let me check the network tab, you can see the appointments request has gone and it brought me this object. But we know that in order to give the calendar the events, we have to map it to what the calendar expects. So it expects an object with a start property, end property, and that start and end property should be of type date, that is the JavaScript date object, and then you can pass any data you want in the data property. So that is what I will do. I will map it. So I will say const appointments is equal to data.map appointment, and then I will turn an object. I will say start appointment dot start, and let me basically convert it into the date object, and then I will say end is new date appointment dot end, and then inside the data object I will add the appointment so that I can display the information appointment. It's giving a type error. Let me add the type here. So I will say promise appointment array. So I'll do this, and here I would basically replace this. So now if I go, you can see that this is the object we're getting from the backend. You can see the start time is 10 a.m. and then end time is 11 p.m. and then New York, Dr. Alex, and this is the address. So this is what we got from the server, and now we have successfully displayed it in the calendar. Good. Now we would like to add an appointment. So what I would like is we have got a function in React calendar known as onSelectSlot. So basically what happens is when we click on a slot, these are the slots basically in the background. So between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. you can see 4 slots because there are 4 divisions. So what I would like is I would want that whenever I click on a slot, the form loads on the right with the start and end dates of the slot already populated in the date fields. So I will use the onSelectSlot function for that, and basically I would like to update this state so that the form loads. So let me add this function here. Let me call it onShowAppointment view. So this will get an appointment and it will set the appointment here. Yeah, I'll grab it and I will place it in the calendar here, and let me add its type. So it would be appointment of type appointment. Cool. So here I would say onSelectSlot. In order to use onSelectSlot, you have to use the selectable prop as well, otherwise it won't work. So basically onSelectSlot gives us start and end. So here I would say on show appointment view, and then start, and then end. Okay, cool. Is there something missing? Oh yeah, I've got to destructure them. Cool. So now if I go to the calendar and I click on a slot, let's say this slot, which is 8 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. Yes. Now you can see that I have got the appointment calendar, and here I have the date fields already populated, so 8 a.m. and 8:15 p.m. So this is how you would want the experience to be in any of your app if you're using the Raspberry calendar. So let me populate the locations. So let's say I say Washington, and then the resource would be Dr. David. And then the address would be, let's me enter a dummy address. So, and then Long Island, New York. Let me increase the time a bit. So yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, and status can be checked in, so I have to create it now. So let's add a mutation here. So in 10 stack query, basically if you want to get something from the backend, then it is known as querying. You are querying the data. If you are doing some mutation, that is you are creating, updating and deleting something, then that is called a mutation. So let's create a mutation for it. So I'll say use create appointment is equal to use mutation. Let me remove this, and let me remove this. So I will make a post request as we already know, and here I would pass the data. So appointment, I would basically pass an appointment object of type appointment, and here I would say here I would spread the appointment object, and I would say start is moment appointment dot start dot format. The reason why I'm doing this wrapping it with moment is because the date from the date picker is was basically being mutated in a different way. It was something else was happening, so I wanted the date to have the same time zone as the local time, so that is why I'm doing it. Maybe if you're using a different React date picker, this doesn't happen, but it is happening in this case. Cool. Also use mutation expects options. So on success would be called when this mutation would be successful. So now basically what I would want is I would use the query client to invalidate the query. That is, I would want that when I make the mutation, I want to update the data. I want to basically send this request again, so that when I create the appointment, an appointment, update it, delete it, whatever, the data on the calendar reflects itself. The basically the query sends a request again to the backend and brings the updated appointments. So I would say query client dot invalidate queries, and I will copy this and add it here. Cool. So now I would go here to the form. Yes, here, and I've got an onSubmit function here. So I would say in the values of prop, I'm getting everything related to the appointment. So I'm updating the appointment and using formic, and I would, whatever values I'm changing, I will get in this values object. So I just have to pass them as it is. Pretty simple. So I would say if appointment.id, if not appointment.id, that means that I'm creating an appointment. Then so I will say const, in order to use the mutation, I would say use the hook. So let me import it, and then I would say mutate async create appointment. Yeah, so I would say create appointment values. Let me show you the values as well, so you can see what the values are. yeah, let me comment this out first so that I can show what the values is. So I'm right now here, let me fill in the values. So let me now fill the values quickly. Address is, let's say line 1, line 2. Yeah, so if I click on create, then you can see in the console that I get values, and this is a similar thing basically. So the address and location resource start and status, what we get from the appointments, what I'm getting from the server. So a similar object is being returned in the values prop. So now if I added this and I remove the console log, and now I go here and then now I click on create, ta-da, you can see that now I have an appointment here with the information I added here. See, cool. Now let's click on another slot. Let's click on here, and now let's say let's type some gibberish, and now click on create, and now you can see that there is another appointment here. Cool. Now I'm able to create the appointments now, but now I would want to update the appointment. So basically what I would want is, if I double click on an appointment, then it loads the form, it loads that appointments information in the form, and now I should be able to update the appointment. Okay, so we will use the on double click event function in Raspberry calendar. So I go to calendar, I will say on double click event, and I get the event object here. I extract the appointment object from here, so I will say event data appointment, and then here I would say if there is an appointment, then same function, so that I can update the appointment function, so that I can update the appointment state. And yeah, so now if I would click on here, right now you can see it says create an appointment, and the form is empty. But now when I double click on this, you can see that it says update an appointment, and it also got a delete icon, because here inside the form I'm checking the appointment ID. So here for the label I'm saying that if there is an appointment ID, then update, otherwise create. And also here I am, if there is an appointment ID, I'm showing a delete icon. Cool. So now yeah, all the information is there. Now I need to update it. So if I, let's say, change the building to building 9, I can do that, but obviously the update mutation isn't there, so let's add it. Let's copy the same thing. It's literally going to be the same thing, but the method would be put and the name would be different. So I would say update appointment. Okay, so same thing, I'm using put. That will update the appointment, and I will again invalidate the query. So I get back to where do I get back to? Yeah, event form. Let's copy this, paste it here. Here I would say update appointment, and here I would say use update appointment. And right now I'm here saying that if there is no appointment ID, then create the appointment. So I will add an else here, where I will say if there is no appointment, if there is an appointment ID, then obviously I need to update it. So I will add the update mutation. Pretty simple thing. And now let's change this to building 10. Let's change Dr. Alex to Dr. Leonard. Cool. And now I click on update, and now you can see that not only did the color change because I've changed the status to checked in, also all the things that I changed from here change here. So now even if I refresh, you can see that the data is there. Why? Because it's coming from a server. So that is the advantage of it. It's not local anymore. Now we need to delete the appointment. So whenever we double click on an appointment, we can see that there is a delete icon here as well. So let's make that delete mutation and add it in the on click of the delete button. So I will say here use delete appointment, and here I don't need to send the data, it just expects an ID in the URL. So I use the delete HTTP verb, and here I say ID, and here I would pass the ID basically. So this is what the delete request is. Also I would like to invalidate the query because now I'm deleting an appointment. So I do this, I say use delete appointment. Here I change its name to delete appointment. I have to pass an ID in the delete appointment function, so I come here, I use this function here, and I say appointment.id. okay, so now I come here and I let's say double click this. So now this is the appointment. I click on the delete icon, and now you can see that the appointment has been deleted. Same is the case here. I double click on it, I click on delete icon, now it's gone. You can see in the console the different requests that are going. So this was the appointment's get request. After I created the appointment, then this the delete request, again get request, delete request, and now again get request. I've only got one object. So this is what CRUD's this is how you can do CRUD operations in events in React calendar. And I hope you like the video. If you have any confusion regarding the libraries I've used, and you didn't understand a thing, or you would like to request another React calendar video, I'll make that, as I've made this video. And kindly like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.